today I'll be okay. I think that's good. Excellent. Better. Okay, so today I'm going to examine health rights and the impact they have on people stability in football. Okay, can we have the first slide, please? You've got way too far. I have a few feelings myself, but it's so much easier. We're going to the first slide. Let's talk about basics of this. So, you better than you can speak for yourself. So I was born in the UK, moved to Nigeria when I was about 6 years old, returned at the age of 30 to the UK. I just received my A-levels in the UK, and then I studied. I actually wanted to be a forensic detective, but I think it's just because of the glamour of what you saw on TV. While studying biology, I went to a mall and I realized, the so good in sciences, I was doing chemistry, biology, and maths. People enjoying seemed like a very obvious input. I really enjoyed it. I was working as an engineer, I put into sports before I met some really institutions. And they took it to Ghana and started doing a lot of stuff with the Ghana players who were going through some issues. And I just really thinking, next time I'm going through this, I don't get this. And that's one of the reasons why I decided I wanted to do something with footballers, specifically for footballers, because I believe they probably have a lot more to add, a lot of value to add from a football aspect as well. So I think we can be like 2009. I contacted the England FA and we talked about the exam, the agent's exam. So I became an agent at first. And then after that, I decided to study law. 2017, graduated with a first class honors. So that's the biggest reason for studying things and the principal of the years. And it was working at the same time as the first class. So again, it's very, very possible to do. And now I represent players and clubs, mainly in Ghana and Nigeria, but I've done a few of those. Things like this. Let's put it one time, one. One time. Okay. Okay, so the agenda, we quickly, we quickly continue with it is the Union. We have statistics surveys in 2017. Okay, then I'll do the politics as well. Then milestones, basic rights of players and coaches. Don't forget this is going to be like related more to the women's game than the men's game. And equal rights benefits. Then some accessibility and challenges, recommendations, and then if there's any questions, then with that. First time, this time, that foreign legal employment report, they surveyed, they put the survey out, they conducted the survey, and they had about 3,600 respondents. The department was were women, 100% of them were women. So you can put the hands, that's about maybe 72, 72-ish, and out of the 2%, 51% received no focus support. So that's even further because I think my focus is 43 out of those 72 didn't receive any focus support from my focuses to mechanic points from clubs and federations, which I think is about very out of that. And then I put back 3,600 with half, 700 fair values. in order to start a family. So this is what you was talking about earlier. So they're just having to make a decision, make a choice between carrying on with this career or starting a family. Okay, well, we're going to look here, the RSTP. When I need to say RSTP, and everybody kind of knows something, we're talking about it's FIFA regulations the status and transfer players. It's FIFA's global legal framework for player status and transfers. And it just ensures that FIFA is operating under a fair and transparent and consistent legal framework, protecting rights of players and maintaining integrity of the sport. I'm just going to be working it down. So just listen to what I'm saying, and then you can just follow that. Okay, so prior to January 2021, the RSTP lacked maternity protections, but for completing and ultimately stated as well, they need maternity. So FIFA, which is the global trade union for professional footballers, they have been amazing in advocating for these rights. So in December 2020, the FIFA Council approved amendments to better conditions for women footballers. So two milestones of the idea. January 2021, Article 8 contract, the regulations relating to female players came into force and the NFPP was depleted. Players' contracts are valid regardless of pregnancy. And for those maybe like in the UK where, they try and do things right, you might wonder, well, is it normal? But there are cases where if, a player says that they're pregnant, they will either terminate the contract or sideline them. Brandon was talking about, sidelining that kind of way to try and ease you out. Between 2022 and 2023, they kind of said, okay, we've made a good start. We're doing a lot here, but there's a lot more that we can do. So the fifth council, they can begin a detailed consultation process with the stakeholders to explore the regulatory measures that they can put in place. And then the feels safe to play and so when it's kid doesn't feel, safe to play, maybe if I start that she can't play, maybe she's a good experiences and she doesn't feel like, play through her pregnancy. So past something like maybe you can do like mentoring young academy players or maybe do some programs in this case. I think that's why you have there has to be something that's related to it. Six, during the last, they say the other thing that's really, related to the club, and the other thing is no longer going to do that, and he can stop working if he doesn't have to get to whatever page students refuse to do reasonable work. If he has dedicated level to it, he can live to then but this has to be such a medical done. Okay, so we continue with both parts. Fertility, long-term fertility. Fertility, so it's relationship. It's like to take 60, yeah. And then start with the first match with the family, even family. People else, but talking to the and you know, so people just may say, "Well, I'm not going to the good and so sorry." And you know, then it's to do that. The faith goes in the midst and just say, "Okay, it's just for so we say scenario was used, and so this is like the most reintegration by open microscope. So these are no rights are going to put that I'll just, you know, quickly go through them. These state facilities. So when you convert to the club, there's feeding facilities. That's facilities where the mother and child can, you know, have movements and they can't get into the pictures. And how as well to get my ways to students. You can yeah, valid medical certificate. It's like you can do abuse. That's what the next one, you know, like players take the family. For the fact that to them, to things where the fact which I we all know for those who are playing football, you know, describing the symptom information periods, is fix it very considerate as schools, you can like outside of those windows if you're replacing students with maternity or vaccine. And the same goes for players with maternity leave for maternity leave. You can also do this that side of the periods. Your activity is also very major tournaments. These are high points to create movements to play the league. Since you don't seem to be specifically that they can be easy to so it also gets this creating environment for them to be able to you know, when the kids and the family around. So one of the challenges we've had, really 53 players had written contracts. Because if you don't have a written contract, things aren't written down. I mean, there are ways in which you can establish that contract does exist, but it's so much easier if you just have things written down. The written length for female footballers is usually about 12 months. So, you know, you can imagine the contract expires during the pregnancy, and then, you know, the player is left with nothing. And when they come back, it's difficult to get back into employment. Many players with classified as amateurs, so it only applies to professional players. So if you're constantly an amateur, then you don't find it and people do family. Professional player is a player who has a written contract with the club and is paid more for their footballing activity than the expenses they incur. So there are some female footballers, professional, but like all amateurs, even because maybe they don't understand the explanation, they don't understand, or maybe because they're trying to be smart. And then another thing is limited use locality support. And then, you know, surrogacy and miscarriage protection is still evolving. You don't really know what's happening with that at the moment. So, I mean, obviously, if you're pregnant and you go on your maternity leave, what happens if you then lose the baby? Do you then have to come back to work and just do it as normal, or is this protecting babies kind of involved in it? Same thing with surrogacy as well. If somebody else is carrying the baby for you, what are your, you know, what are your rights to be able to apply not to one with that family? So it's, you know, it's a little bit complex. This is a case study. Sarah Beard, he was a Olympic midfielder and he was playing for Olympic Lyonnais when she became pregnant. Obviously, the front problem, everything is going to be okay. You know, all the fact he later discovered the missed salary payments. Leon tried to become city laws within FIFA's maternity regulations, which denied her full salary during pregnancy. She filed a claim with the FIFA PRC, which ruled in her favor, and she became the first player to win a maternity claim under FIFA's regulations. And she secured her full payment throughout the pregnancy until maternity leave began. And I think that was about 82,000 or something. So it's a lot of money she could have lost. So, some of the regulations, I guess, the first military implementation, that's will be how to do it right here. Reverse lateral implementation. Players on the right, that's another thing. A lot of players don't actually know that, you know, they have the right to these things. Contract expiry during pregnancy, that's something that we need to do as well, because if you're pregnant and then your contract expires, well, it's nothing. So they said they case maybe where if a player has a 12-month contract and she falls pregnant, then it's a pregnant and so not just seconds back. Then the minimum birth leave should be increased as well to maybe 12 weeks or maybe longer than that. But at the moment, it's 8. And there's no provision to service. I've already mentioned that it's one of the things to involve in, but it's definitely something that needs to be looked into properly. So again, that's a plan for next step to do it within time. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, 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 just yeah, very good question. So we have basically said if they are not given those facilities, whether they potentially, we don't know these days is going to do. You really see the things that will be very possible. Access to one of the students in the place to the place. Everything is so I guess maybe discuss with the player and they don't want to like things like the player that's really stuff. Okay, okay. Next question. He's looking at the question as well. I'd like to hear his question. Yeah, I'd like to hear maybe like this, right? Right? Students, okay. Presentation, but for those who are linked to this mentorship. Obviously, there's parts. I can hear you. There you go. I'm hoping it should be still gone. One of my areas of sport my additional height. For some, is that to start with the little shepherds, was if many was small parts of it. interesting products, and we have really discussed the issue. This is trouble with this issue. Very so that when we issue, there's just a bit what is a way out. It's about reasonable percentage, but even if this is what's visible, and that's not many things, let's say, should be used. Maybe identify, unjustified. They tell them useful, basic instances, basic as of history, basic beliefs that agree is thank you. And this is really good. It's kind of debatable. Yeah, because when uses they have a limited and from businesses it's not reasonable science and straight to this is then you can't say no. So it's one then they have something with yeah. That's not so pieces like even if it's not the sorry. Whilst Nigeria fought the Richard, we are still trying to analyze things out of one needs and duration trying to sort out that still limited. That's it's a great question smart about the can you consider that reasonable? So, I think that needs more clarity and more detail about the experience, the framework, that this kind of development even more that's I mean, very very much there is a very much there is a like that, you know, sometimes otherwise a bit woolly to give some flexibility. Because even like, you know, even what it says that 8 months that's bad, bad. Which is already taken like the content of our brain. So rather than we was bad, to give them super to make so in a piece of I guess I see my cases are that so the There is a lot. I believe that with FIFA, they normally do, like, take it contribution with the laws. But, yeah, if FIFA, you know, they have a lot of good things. That's what we do. Right? Any other questions? We don't have to take break. So, I'm really prepared for the moment. So, that's why I Right. Much help to the kids, but this you know, price to be mentioned, but so they nice more than know it makes quite a good discussion. Now, I want to get to one element of things that will let us into the further. But before we do that, um, it's getting exciting. The discussion is getting exciting. Instagram, excellent, like, share, and engage. All the inputs. Make right for the person who was either tweeted the most or shared the most or liked the most. You can so much right all the people's coming. Yeah, you could be the result. Probably has talked about nonetheless, people like to get the shot and the business of the whole today. This is the same actually like the university here full. The service line of the portfolio the competition started about 5 or 6 months ago. Total of 5 universities, and now we could have been 4 universities to have made one of them able to make it to the program. But for the university bankers, this university bankers, is there and please. One would just say the latest check on have the interest is so slow. Let's go have one to see how we have to. Usually, it's highly encouraging. University, it's formidable. With the 60 these people come to like random different things that technically have to we shall publish this right for you to see the slide to my here. fascinating point what this like technical knowledge. Let's to the next starting hate the life of future tribunals and defending future stability, exploring the mediation, exploring mediation as an alternative what we should be dispute. Now, Senator today is period more. I hope I got the name right. Period. Well, nice. Mr. President, having president in this but the non-professional is the field. And we will have played a key role in shaping spiritual development in the future. Additionally, she is committed to Shabbat with of society, sharing system recently in society in meetings, think last week. There was an opportunity as well to present issues sports law with Mr. Timothy Kaja over there. She heads the sports law committee in the Eastern Society, where she has actively contributed to the advancing of the standards in sports industry across Africa. She is currently serving as the special advisor in sports law, governance and human rights with the Golden Agency and an advisory board member of sports and crime briefing and has served as the protocol expert for the Hearing Project. Additionally, she sits upon the Football Kenya Federation Disciplinary Appeals Committee. And the administrator, it's possible from the university, next time, next kingdom, to city, but it's very exciting because but the pressure to make it to the final. So that program that they have high. So, ladies and gentlemen, who has for Miss Moore, who is going to run us through this morning's mediation of the alternative mediation with this. Yeah. So once again, one of the traditional more change. But good afternoon, distinguished colleagues, practitioners, and students. Correct, Mr. Leon. I know it's challenging name to pronounce, but my name is actually Said Tehran Moot. Like in Kenya, I would say here, but we don't have it in the group, but Tehran is okay. So please tell your tongue is but thank you so much, Neil, by say, drafting and I would like to take the next 10 minutes to walk you through sports mediation, contractual stability in professional football. So you may notice some reading, and this is how I make sure I don't accidentally start a 40 minutes set, like my very knowledgeable senior there. So I'll not be using a script today. History organizer trust me from debating. But first of all, I would like to start, just begin by thanking FLAM organizers and the entire team for such a intellectually rich event and for building a platform that places African football law firmly within global legal disputes. And a special mention also to Piers Amole Leon, Jude, and team. It is generally good to finally put faces to the names behind the exceptional work that brought this conference together and the event as a whole. And my presentation of mentioned earlier today would explore the relationship between sports mediation and contractual stability in professional football, and how mediation can function not as a replacement for arbitration, but so is when do not report need to cast, but as a complementary governance tool that enhances compliance, protects relationships, and also stabilizes the football economy. So as I start on the slide one, and as an introduction and looking at why this topic matters, contractual stability is one of the cornerstones of professional football governance. And at its core, football is not merely sport. It's a labor market, it's an entertainment industry, and a transnational business sector heavily dependent on one, player mobility, financial focusing, and enforceable contract. So as documented contractual stability and international mobility in professional football, clubs rely on enforceable player contracts. This is a topic that you've heard over and over and you continue to hear today and tomorrow. And as financial, and sporting assets, particularly in developing leagues where transfers often fund survive. So the FFA system is trained by, of course, increasing disputes, and this is why we're also learning dispute resolution. Cross-border enforcement problems. You've heard how the local laws can contradict or international law can contradict local laws, and also look at the power imbalances between players and clubs. And this is where mediation enters as a governance stabilizer rather than merely a dispute tool. So slide two. I would like to maybe look at, or rather, let's briefly look at what is sports mediation. Okay. So sports mediation generally is a consensual, confidential, and interest-based process where parties control the outcome. Solutions to some point also offers flexibility, autonomy, and enhanced access to justice and the ability to resolve issues that formal tribunals cannot easily adjudicate, especially commercial and employment disputes. And in football terms, again, mediation provides space to resolve disputes without sporting sanctions, reputational damage, or prolonged proceedings before past domestic courts. To slide three, contract contractual stability refers to preserving the binding nature of player club agreements. And the FIFA framework attempts to strike a delicate balance. So, of course, players the effect is not only legal but systemic, and we then see squad destabilization, we see financial harm, and then at the same time, competitive imbalance. Slide. So let's briefly highlight typical disputes in football. And I'm sure that this has already been mentioned, and again, you continue hearing most of them as we move along in our event today. And the first one would be player status classification. You have also you.